Look at our quarterly projections, gentlemen. Our player wallets are actually enjoying our products. This is unacceptable! It's 2013, the PS4 just dropped, we've got games like Final Fantasy and GTA 5, and gaming has never been better. Player numbers are growing through the freaking roof. What we didn't see, what we couldn't see because we were too busy having fun, was the corporate vampires in the shadows sharpening their fangs. We need more blood, more money, more microtransactions. You know why people are still playing these games a decade later? Because they were finished good fucking products and not some half-assed casino subscription service disguised as games designed by the same people from Satan's marketing department. The gaming apocalypse wasn't coming, it was already here. We were just too busy teabagging each other in Call of Duty to notice the industry was being teabagged by corpos who couldn't tell the difference between Minecraft and Minesweeper. Whilst we're praising the game industry for evolving, it was mutating into a money-sucking parasite that makes loan sharks seem ethical. We're going to take a look at exactly how that happened. The first horseman of the gaming apocalypse had arrived with Microtransactions. In 2006, the year when Bethesda decided, gamers just paid $60 for our new Elder Scrolls Oblivion game. Let's test if they're dumb enough to pay real money for fake horse armor. And holy shit, did we ever fall for it? It's cosmetic. Don't you want your horses to look pretty whilst you're out there saving the world? Look at this majestic shit! To this day, gamers still fantasize about turning this golden armoured pixel pony into fucking glue. There was massive gamer backlash, but did Bethesda give a shit? Hell no, because enough wallet warriors bought this crap that every suit in the industry got a raging profit boner. My god, if they paid for pixels, they'll pay for anything. Bethesda knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't just DLC. This was an experiment to see if we'd open our wallets for useless digital bullshit. It was a commercial success, and every greedy corpo watching was like, write that down, write that down. And that, fellow gamers, is the moment gaming started its spectacular descent into the microtransaction hellscape we're drowning in today. It only gets worse from here. In 2007, the first smartphone drops and everything changes. Look, ma, no buttons! Before this, mobile gaming meant hunching over a Nintendo DS like a gaming goblin. Why buy a separate gaming device when your smartphone can do everything? And just like that, mobile gaming exploded. Everyone and their grandmother now has a fucking smartphone. By 2008, Apple launches their App Store and Facebook is jumping with 350 million users by 2009. That's not a user base, that's a goddamn gold mine waiting to be exploited. All these corporate vultures needed was to get people playing their shitty games. And they tested it cheap, but they couldn't understand how to get non-gamers into gaming. Angry Birds launched at 99 cents, and even that was enough for these new gamers to clutch their pearls at the thought of spending a single fucking dollar. If they won't pay up front, we'll give them the first hit for free. Yeah, just like some shady back alley drug dealers getting folk hooked on crystal meth. Because once you're in their ecosystem, that's when they really start milking with microtransactions. Welcome to free-to-play hell, Grandma. In 2009, Farmville happens. Remember that shit? Facebook's digital crack factory that had the mothers and grandmothers of the world virtually harvesting crops. Look at this shit. 83 million monthly users at its peak. Oh boy, my virtual crops needs watering. Want to speed that up? Just give us your credit card information. This was the second horseman of the gaming apocalypse, labelled as freemium, the bastard child of free and premium that's about as free as speech is in the United Kingdom. Your grandma, who couldn't figure out how to send an email, was suddenly dropping real cash on fake fertiliser. I need my tomatoes now, damn it. Farmville raked in 235 million in its first year for a game that took 5 fucking weeks to make. I've had longer relationships with yoga. Holy shit, they're paying us for Nothing. And in comes Candy Crush and Clash of Clans. $10 billion each. The last time any complete game made that kind of cash was Street Fighter 2 in 1991, and that's because every arcade in America was basically a gambling parlour for teenagers. Just like that, a new breed of gamers emerged, people whose first gaming experience was being nickel and dimed for digital carrots. To them, microtransactions weren't evil, they were normal. We were officially fucked. And hardcore gamers just sat there like smug arseholes. Oh, I would never play those garbage mobile games with their terrible graphics and predatory microtransactions. We became the minority. Do you think they gave a fuck about your complaints when Grandma is dropping her pension on virtual farm equipment? The blueprint for the corporate sabotage of AAA was already in motion. During 2010, the gaming industry was already beginning to restructure in small but quickly growing ways, like Blizzard, who followed in the footsteps of Bethesda. Hey, do you know what World of Warcraft players need? A freaking sparkly horse! The celestial steed, ladies and gentlemen, the first of what would become a mega zoo of exclusive World of Warcraft store mounts. 25 real American dollars for a horse made of pixels that some poor, underpaid intern probably made in a single afternoon whilst chugging Red Bull. No official sales numbers exist because they don't want us to know how much they're robbing us. But estimates put it at $10 million. $10 million for a pixel horse. Do the fucking math. Why spend 5 years and millions making an actual game when you can shit out digital ponies and watch the money trot in? The light bulb went off in just about every greedy corpo's head. Holy shit, we don't need to make new games. We just need to find new ways to milk the players who already bought our old games. Money! Assassin's Creed 2 was released the same year, still one of the best games in the series, but lurking inside Ubisoft was something being tested far deadlier than Templars. The third horseman of the gaming apocalypse was upon us. Always online DRM. It was not received well in Assassin's Creed 2 and was quickly removed, but for gamers it was far from over. But what is Always Online DRM? It's a fantastic security feature that protects our intellectual property. Bullshit! It's a digital leash that requires you to stay connected to their servers even in single player games. Think about it! You're playing your offline game, your internet drops for 2 seconds and game over. Not because you died in the game, but because some executive spreadsheet said, fuck your experience. And it gets so much worse. Does any other old people remember dial-up internet? Back in the 2000s, your mum would scream, "Get off the computer, I'm trying to call Grandma!" Single player games ruled because, well, what the fuck else were we meant to do? Multiplayer? That was some exotic shit reserved for the no-life MMORPG crowd with their fancy cable connections. But when the connection speeds caught up, the corpo arseholes got a brilliant idea. What if we just force everyone to be online all the time? We'll call it Always Online DRM. Pretend it's about piracy, but really, we just want to influence them with our interests. Fast forward to now, and the same arseholes are saying, the game got unprofitable, I mean old. Well, we gotta put it down. It's the ethical thing to do. Look away, kids. This is 100% legal. You paid $60 for a game that they can remotely kill whenever they decide server maintenance costs too much. We'll be revisiting this shit show much later when the timeline catches up to the Stop Killing Games movement. Now studios are dumping all their resources into online multiplayer games. They pushed around buzzwords and hype about multiplayer to mask how fucking mediocre their games were. Our game is complete dog shit, but hey, everything's fun with friends, right? Playing with people is fun, but make no mistake, this multiplayer obsession wasn't because gamers demanded it. It was because some soot in a boardroom realised if we create games that requires other players we create dependency. And dependency means money. Whilst the West was arguing about pixel carrots and horse armour, in Japan it's still 2010, and Konami, the same people who gave us Metal Gear Solid, has unleashed this seemingly innocent little game called Dragon Collection. Looky here! A cute little trading card game. Bullshit! It was a fucking gambling machine disguised as a game. Players would get these random loot drops from chests, but... Oh, Peanut! Another comment, Adam? You probably didn't want that. We're so sorry. But wait, you want better odds? That'll be $4.99. Isn't gambling fun, kids? It was an instant fucking success. Konami made $3.3 billion in 2012 with 6 million active players throwing money at digital scratch cards. This unholy creation spawned thousands of clones of what we now call gacha games, or got ya games, as in got your fucking wallet. But it's not real gambling if you can't cash out. That's worse. And the most terrifying part? Game studios looked at their traditional AAA games that took talent and creativity to make, then looked at this fucking weeaboo slot machine that took a couple interns and a weekend to code and collectively creamed their pants. Yeah, but we're gonna focus on the gambling now. This was the nail on the fucking coffin. The moment AAA gaming got its execution date. Did somebody say profits? Back in the West, the gaming gold rush hit. Money was pouring in faster than Corpos could snort it off their desks, with investor vultures circling the industry like some dying animal. We need our slice of the pie, Jefferson. All the fucking pie. The recipe for success was right there. Take 1 part gullible gamer base, 2 parts fear of missing out, sprinkle in some gambling addiction, and presto! Investor paradise. Wait, you mean AAA games take years to make and cost millions, and people sometimes want them for cheap during Steam sales? Meanwhile, some dipshit makes a mobile game in 5 weeks that earns hundreds of millions. Oh, I get it, yeah, Fuck that. We're going with the gambling thing. See this shit? This is why we can't have nice things. Now, children, let me teach you about the minimum viable product in games. In theory, it's supposed to be a functional demo showing core mechanics. You know, the basics of a game. It's like a movie trailer showing all the cool shit packed into 2 minutes while the actual movie is 2 hours of disappointment. But then, some corpo genius had an epiphany. What if, now hear me out here, what if the final product was the demo? Huh? It's so fucking brilliant it's evil. Why waste time making a complete game when you can just release the demo, charge full price, and if, big fucking if, it makes money, then you finish it later and charge extra for the parts you cut out. Mwah! Capitalism, baby! The harbinger before the 4th horseman of the gaming apocalypse had arrived. In 2014, Bungie, once the beloved creators of Halo, gave us Destiny. Destiny crawled out of the corporate hellscape like a demonic turd wrapped in the AAA price tag. The hype was massive. 3 years in development, everyone dropping their pants for this September 2013 release. But then, the game director looked at the writing team's vision and went, too much story, too much progression. Remake it all. What? No, now listen. Remember when we made complete games? Well, that was fucking stupid. Why finish the game when idiots will pay us for fragments of one? Look, I know we've had this thing for 3 years. Just delay it and fire everyone who complains. Next fucking problem. So they had to rebuild this entire game in 1 year. The story was essentially written by nobody. The lead writer quit. Shocking. Leaving the game with no fucking story. Chapter 1, shoot aliens. Chapter 2, more aliens. The end. And then, this is my favourite part, they fired Martin O'Donnell, the musical genius behind the Halo soundtrack. For as far as I could see, understandable workplace drama. He sued their asses and won, of course. Then they started slicing up all that content they'd already finished and, surprise, it magically reappeared as paid DLC! But despite this absolute dumpster fire, it became the biggest new franchise launched in history. Trust us, we made Halo. Look at all those pre-orders. Smell that? That's the scent of gamer trust being set on fire. Suddenly players had this crazy revelation. This game is actually complete horseshit. Check out these reviews from 2014. An empty, soulless grindfest with less story than a grocery list. So why didn't consumers know better? Because Bungie pulled the most manipulative PR stunt we've ever seen. They published this tear-jerking article about their journey and hardships and the amazing people they lost along the way. Or, illegally fired. And worse yet, they said no review copies until after release. You see, after thousands of internal playtests, we've learned that Destiny isn't Destiny without you, the players. In translation, our game is so broken that if reviewers see it before launch, we're screwed. So, please buy it before anyone tells you how bad it is. If this game launched for free, maybe I'd understand, but $60? Please buy our unfinished shit sandwich. We promised to add bread later. Yeah, they eventually did, after charging for all the DLC that should have been there at launch, after everyone paid full price to be their quality assurance testers. They charged $60 for what was essentially early access. And it's finally here, the fourth and final horseman of the gaming apocalypse, the live service scam. Jazz hands. Destiny showed corporations that they could sell you half a fucking game at full price and call it a business model. They realised they could ship broken, unfinished garbage, rake in millions on day one, and it wasn't even technically fraud. It's not LAN, it's live service. Don't think of it as an unfinished product. Try to think of it as a journey. These corpo cucks discovered they only needed the illusion of a good game with DLC drip-fed later. We'll fix it. Eventually. Promise. Just keep that wallet open. Now, DLC itself isn't evil. Games like Fallout had expansions that added to complete games. But Destiny? That shit was designed to be incomplete. We're selling you an infinite content machine. Translation, we're selling you a fucking box that we'll maybe put stuff in later if enough people buy it. Before Destiny, this live service bullshit was mostly for free games, but Bungie proved gamers would pay full AAA price for what free games were already giving away. This blueprint of live service fuckery became gaming's new religion, the gospel according to greed. But wait, we're not quite fully damned yet. Let's take a trip back to Japan, where gambling addiction was getting turbocharged with gacha games. Dragon Collection clones were everywhere, but none hit the jackpot quite like Fate Grand Order. Coming off the success of the Fate franchise, this game made $2.5 million a day. By 2023, 7 billion total. Now, I'm a man of culture. I get that anime waifus sell, but 7 billion for something that looks like... How does this make $7 billion? Right, more gambling, but this time with anime tits. By the time Fate Grand Order dropped, gacha games had already normalised gambling to the point kids were developing slot machine addictions before they could drive. It's not real gambling, they're just worthless digital goods. Tell that to any gamer who spent his rent money on anime JPEGs. It's not regulated because corpo leeches found the perfect loophole. You can't cash out your winnings. How How convenient. With zero regulation, literally none, developers could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Kids playing? Oh, who cares? Addiction mechanics? Pack 'em in. Predatory tactics? Oh, that's just good business, baby. 2016 was like watching piranhas discover fresh meat. Destiny proved people would pay for half-finished games, and now gambling profits were making executives soil their designer panties. Wait, we could do both. Oh god, yes, the profit margins! From that point on, it's safe to say gaming was absolutely fucked. The Ubisoft Always Online DRM virus that started in 2010 had infected everything. Assassin's Creed, The Division, Rainbow Six, For Honor. But let's focus on the new poster child, Overwatch. Blizzard, the same people who brought you a World of Warcraft addiction, had this super innovative mechanic in Overwatch. So innovative, they cancelled their other highly anticipated game, Titan, to go all in. What was this groundbreaking gameplay feature? Fucking loot boxes! That's right, their big innovation was, what if we took a slot machine, slapped some neon paint on it, called it Surprise Mechanics, and marketed it directly to children? They made billions. We're not selling gambling to children, we're selling, Surprise Mechanics. Look at how shiny one of the cool kids is, huh? It's quite ethical. Not even the worst offender. If Game Studio Corruption had a mascot, it'd be the EA logo. These fuckers saw what everyone else was doing and said, hold my beer whilst I destroy the entire concept of consumer value. So Star Wars Battlefront drops, and surprise, it's got loot boxes. But EA being EA, they couldn't just copy Overwatch's only cosmetic bullshit. No. That's not evil enough. Let's lock the characters behind paywalls. That's right. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, the main characters of Star Wars, were locked behind paywalls in a $60 game. Some beautiful math nerds crunched the numbers and realised you'd need to grind 40 hours to unlock one hero without paying extra. For 6 heroes, that's 240 hours of gameplay. That's 10 full days of your life just to play the characters advertised on the fucking box of the game you already paid for. And EA's response? The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. Pride and accomplishment of what? Having your bank surgically attached to EA? That comment got downvoted so hard on Reddit it quite literally broke records. They only backed down when Disney, fucking Disney of all companies, told them they'd gone too far. When the company that charges $8 for a bottle of water at their theme park thinks your pricing is predatory, you've reached fucking supervillain status. September 2017, Epic Games gets a corporate makeover courtesy of Chinese megacorp Tencent. That little mum and pop Chinese mega corporation that just so happens to own half the fucking digital world. And their strategy? Player longevity is key metric. If ass not in sight, wallet not open. Tencent had already perfected the art of digital bank fucking in China with games as service, and Epic wanted in on that sweet games as service cash flow. So here's Epic with their sad little Fortnite. Yeah, that Fortnite, but at the time it's a co-op tower defense game nobody gave two shits about. Sales? Reviews? All garbage. But meanwhile, PUBG is blowing up like an online cocaine factory. $30 entry fee plus loot box bullshit, and they're raking in $13 billion fucking dollars. All with Tencent pulling the strings in China. PUBG was rushed, but players didn't care because the Battle Royale concept was fun enough to overlook the fact that sometimes cars would randomly explode or buildings wouldn't render until after you landed on them. Epic's Corpos looked at PUBG, a game literally thrown together in 1 year, and thought to themselves, we've got this failing game with maps and shooting too, but it's in development hell. But, now hear me out, what if we just Battle Royale that shit? Within 6 fucking months, Fortnite Battle Royale drops. completely free. The first hit's always free, kids. And just like that, meaningful innovation in gaming flatlined. Murdered by battle passes, every IP in existence started getting sucked into the Fortnite vortex. Creativity? Dead. Original ideas? None. Instead, we got the gaming equivalent of the Blob. Fortnite started absorbing every piece of intellectual property it could get its hands on. Oh, you like Star Wars? It's in Fortnite now. Marvel? Fortnite. Your childhood memories? Believe it or not, also Fortnite. $9 billion in 2 years. From a game they Frankenstein together in 2 months. You could practically feel the collective joy of corporate executives worldwide. Oh God, yes. Yes! Monetize me harder. Somebody get me the trend reports. What are the geeks into these days? If your game wasn't an eternal money printing machine like Fortnite, shareholders would look at you like you just pissed in their Cheerios. I don't care if your game has a compelling story, innovative mechanics, or artistic merit. Can I milk it for the next decade? If no, then make it more like goddamn Fortnite. Every fucking meeting. Of course these greedy bastards wanted their own Fortnite. Epic accidentally created the perfect corpo wet dream. A game design that's basically crack with a cash register attached that sent us straight back to the Farmville Clone Wars. Only this time, it's AAA. The circle of corporate bullshit is complete. Our game is different. It has guns and microtransactions. Let me break down the perfect modern AAA game according to a corporate slime fuck who's never even touched a controller. 1. Fast to produce, because why make something good when you can make something fast and much more of it? 2. Eternally monetizable, because why sell a complete game when you can sell pieces of a game forever? 3. Multiplayer focused, because what's better than one sucker getting another sucker into your pyramid scheme? I mean social gaming experience. And 4. Gambling mechanics. Actually, surprise mechanics? The surprise is you're fucking broke. And of course, it should be free, because psychologically manipulating people into thinking they're getting a deal whilst you're spending 10 times what a normal game would cost is just smart business. Lifestyle game design. It sounds so wholesome, doesn't it? It's corporate speak for addiction engineering. We're not making games, we're creating lifestyles. Why create art when we can create dependency? What they are actually designing are fly traps. The game isn't the product, you are. They want to capture you, get their hooks in tight, and keep you funneling money into their offshore accounts. Daily login bonuses. What a generous gift from us. Great, a fucking psychological leash. Miss a day and what happens? My streak! My special bonus! My free currency! My life is fucking over! Mom! They trained you like a fucking dog. Except instead of a whistle, it's a notification bell. Fucking daily quests? Kill 10 rats for 5 shitcoins. That's not content. That's a fucking chore list. I did my digital dishes. Can I have my allowance now, Mr. Blizzard? They've turned games into unpaid jobs. These corporations aren't competing for just your money anymore. They're fighting over your life clock. Every minute you spend grinding their bullshit battle pass is a minute you're not playing someone else's game. Time equals money, and we want all of both. It's just basic economics. Epic wasn't even close to done with Fortnite's bullshit. They invented the fucking battle pass. Our metrics show that players want more ways to give us money. Let me explain this frankly evil genius corpo buggery. The battle pass doesn't actually give you anything when you buy it. No. It simply unlocks the privilege to earn stuff by grinding your arse off. It's like charging admission to work in a sweatshop where you make your own fucking toys. The battle pass is the only product where you pay money for the privilege of doing more work. Thanks for the $10. Now, here's your pickaxe. if you mine for 200 hours, you might get that skin you wanted. They've designed the entire game to make you feel like a worthless scrub if you don't have that Season 12 sparkly bullshit skin. It takes your money and your time. Time you could spend playing other games. If it takes 100 hours to unlock their shit, you have no time to play other games. And you fucking paid them for it. Sir, if we could just make a good game. Or we could add 17 different psychological manipulation tactics and make 17 times the money. Why would any other company not add this bullshit once their game is successful? Let's recap. The post-content release model allows companies to shut out games at lightning speed because they're intentionally selling you half a fucking game. And why is suddenly everything multiplayer focused? Because it's cheaper to make. A single player campaign needs actual content, story, levels, meaningful progression. But multiplayer? Here's free maps and some guns. Now, go fight each other whilst we count our money. For minimum effort, they get maximum profit. Even GTA 5, a cultural juggernaut, can't compete with Fortnite's free-to-play bullshit. $10 billion. And GTA only reached those numbers because Rockstar saw the cash pinata and turned their game into another live service model called GTA Online back in 2013. To Corpos, it's not about good games, it's about addiction machines with price tags. At this point, the games industry has so much money they're Scrooge McDucking in an ocean of it. It became an infinite resource because these greedy bastards figured out how to turn our banks into ATMs you could tap anytime. Growth projections, unlimited. Player wallets, bottomless. Artistic integrity, the fuck's that? Can we monetize it? Let's get real here. Capitalism ain't your creative buddy. It's a money-hungry beast with teeth. It doesn't care about your artistic vision or your player experience. It's a paper shredder that goes brrr on anything that isn't maximizing profits. After Corpos make their first billion, they don't think, great, let's make something amazing now. No, they think, how can we make 10 billion with even less effort? Imagine dating someone who puts in all the effort until you've committed. Then they show up to every date in sweatpants asking you for money. Once these parasites taste blood, they don't stop until your corpse is a fucking husk. Low risk, high reward. That's the game they're playing, and we're the game pieces. So why do AAA games take so long these days? Is it that damn woke agenda sabotaging games because the male protagonist doesn't have bigger tits? Is it those ultra-realistic horse testicles that need physics programming? Look how realistic that horse's balls shrink in cold weather. That's art. No, it's executive incompetence and pure, unfiltered greed. Quick, the shareholders need another mansion. Scrap everything and start over. These studios don't have a goddamn clue what game they're making. There's no game being made half the time because they're too busy remaking the game they already fucking made. Any creative director with an actual vision gets shut down for profit schemes. Creative vision? Well, that does not test well in the 13-year-old with their parents' credit cards demographic. You think GTA 6 is taking so long because they're perfecting every hooker's lipstick shade? It's probably been remade so many times that the code looks like fucking spaghetti. Same with Elder Scrolls 6. 7 years since that teaser, and what do we have? A fucking landscape shot. The entire industry is trapped in corporate hell with no escape route. We've watched every franchise we love get redirected into a hastily slapped together live service shit show. But how will we extract money from players indefinitely if the game ends? We're living in the darkest timeline where games are designed by fucking accountants. Some alternative dimension where only live service games exist. A dimension where fun went to die and got replaced by battle passes and daily login bonuses. But it's not another dimension. It's just fucking business. We've heard your feedback and decided to ignore it completely because fuck you. Pay me. This trend has continued for years since Fortnite's release. Almost everything you loved being redirected into a live service shadow of its former self. Diablo, Battlefield, Halo Infinite, Fallout 76, all zombified into live service husks of what they were. Look at Fallout 76 launch. Bethesda basically said, remember that rich single player experience you loved? Well, fuck that. Here's an empty wasteland where 12-year-olds can call you racial slurs whilst you pay us to paint your power armor pink. West Virginia, Mountain Mama. And the games that were already live service, Destiny 2, Overwatch 2, both decided, do you know what would make our predatory monetization better? If we copied Fortnite's even more predatory monetization. Think about it. More battle passes, more skins, more ways to extract money. So now we've got Destiny 2 and Overwatch 2 going full Fortnite free to play whilst charging you for shit that used to be included. And guess what? Fortnite's still winning this race to the bottom. We did it! We successfully milked every last cent in human existence. What's next, sir? Can we somehow make souls currency? 2020 imprisoned us like a UK citizen who had a non-government approved opinion. Pandemic lockdown. Everyone's stuck at home thinking, well, I guess I'll play some video games since the outside world is trying to kill us. And what did corporate executives see? Oh my god. Look at all those eyeballs. Look at this engagement. Quick, throw money at it. These motherfuckers started a hiring spree the second they saw a bigger market. But they weren't interested in making good games. Suddenly, the industry is flooded with cash, and these vampires are high-fiving each other in their Zoom meetings, rejecting games that would have been greenlit 2 years ago because they weren't fucking Fortnite. Millions. Millions. We don't get out of bed for less than $1 billion now. I'm sorry, but your single-player roleplay game only projects $60 million in profit. We need that Fortnite money, baby. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wants this. But here we are, getting screwed by corporate spreadsheets. Imagine going back to 2005, grabbing some random gamer and telling them, hey, buddy, in the future, that game you love is gonna be a fucking casino. You'll pay $100 up front for the privilege of being manipulated by psychological tactics designed by literal addiction experts. You want that cool sword? Spin the wheel, motherfucker. Spin it. And the best part, you'll be that desensitized you'll thank them for it. Please, sir, may I have another loot box? These game companies have so much fucking money, they're basically playing roulette with our gaming experiences because they can. Most of these cash grabs have been universally hated and torn apart by every YouTube game reviewer with a working brain. But corpos just keep throwing them out there. They don't care if the games are universally hated. Most of them straight up fail. It's just a numbers game to them. This absolutely does not transition into reality, but the math in their thinking pattern kinda works. Let me break it down for you. You've got $100 million burning a hole in your vault, which these parasites absolutely do. Instead of making one good game, they churn out $10 million psychological slot machines disguised as games. Probability says only one hits the jackpot. Sounds risky, right? Wrong. That one success returns $1 billion. That's 10 times your total investment. The math is beautiful for these suits. One hit pays for everything and leaves you with 900 million pure profit. So you can do it all over again on a much bigger scale. Risk management, bitch. It's called diversification. In their minds, all it takes is one success to pay for everything and keep the cocaine flowing at the executive retreat. Compare Baldur Gates 3, which I'll be praising to the sky in a moment, cost 100 million, made 260 million. Pretty good, right? But then look at Overwatch. Maybe cost 25 million, made 1 billion in its first year. Are they good games? No. Does the maths even transition into reality? Fuck no. Will they try anyway? You bet their arse they will. Sure, every now and then we'll get an amazing game like The Witcher or Baldur's Gate, but in the hands of corpos, you will always get 100 modern AAA clones before one single Baldur's Gate. The house always wins. and we're the fucking chips. But do you know what these corpo mathematicians never accounted for? Us getting sick of their shit. Now, gamers aren't suddenly falling out of love with gaming. No, we're falling out of love with being repeatedly fucked over. Our metrics indicate decreased player engagement. Perhaps we should add more microtransactions? No, you dense motherfuckers! We've been burned so many times we're basically charcoal at this point. We've developed AAA PTSD. Every YouTube game reviewer for years has been waving red flags saying this game is a trap. And guess what? Eventually, we listened. But our psychological manipulation tactics were foolproof. Turns out even lab rats eventually figure out that the cheese is actually a fucking taser. It's not that we suddenly hate video games, we hate your games. So here we are in the 2020s and investors are pissed off. All those fancy game formulas I just spent an age explaining, most of them crashed and fucking burned. Sure, we talked about some games that actually make money, but for every Fortnite success story, there are 50 absolute dumpster fires that these corpos have poured millions into. We've invested. Where's our tens of billions? Those fucking artists. Haven't they heard about this new AI thing? It makes pretty pictures without complaining about work conditions. Fire them! Tens of thousands of people who genuinely love games have been laid off for executive incompetence and greed. It's a bit tired. It really wants to stay. Well, here's your severance package, a McDonald's application, and a big ol' fuck you. Let me make this crystal fucking clear. Every soul-crushing, joy-killing, money-draining feature you hate in modern games, it exists for one reason only. Some executive in a fancy chair looked at a spreadsheet and said, this will make us more money. That's it. That's the entire decision-making process. No gameplay committee, no focus group of actual gamers. It's just pure, unadulterated greed. Now we've got industry veterans, people who've been making your favourite games for decades, fighting with fresh-faced college grads for entry-level positions. Sorry, Mr. 15 years experience, but we're looking for somebody with your skills who will accept half the salary and twice the abuse. These skilled devs are either going indie or leaving gaming entirely. But what happens when a game loses all the people who actually cared about it? What happens when all that institutional knowledge just walks out the door? What happens when a video game dies? I told you we'd come back to talking about always online DRM. Do you know what that means besides needing to be online to play? We regret to inform our valued customers that due to economic considerations, we'll be sunsetting the servers for... Sunsetting? What in the shit fuck corpo jargon is sunsetting? You're killing the game we paid for! Call it what it is! Take Ubisoft and their racing game The Crew. Sold 2 million copies by January 2015. 40 million players since launch. And what did Ubisoft do in 2024? They shut that shit down and revoked everyone's license. We apologise to our player wallets, who paid money for our game. But we've decided that your purchase was more of a rental really. A very expensive, indefinite length rental that we can terminate whenever the hell we want. And this is the same company that secretly snuck de novo anti-piracy bullshit that tagged performance into their games after reviewers played them, so it wouldn't affect the fucking reviews. The Crew isn't some isolated instant. This game culling is happening constantly. In what other industry, besides fucking timeshares, can you spend money on a product and have the company legally take it back whenever they want? I'm sick of game publishers treating us like their own personal bank accounts. They sell us digital turds, squeeze us until we lactate powdered milk with microtransactions, then sunset the servers when it doesn't make their fifth mansion payment. I'm not the only one losing my goddamn mind over this. 2023 happens and this little indie studio called Larian drops Baldur's Gate 3 like a bomb on the industry's bullshit parade. Larian isn't some massive corpo monster with tentacles in every shareholder's arsehole. They're an indie studio with just 450 employees. I've got a simple question for all those AAA studios out there. If an indie studio with 450 people can make a masterpiece like Baldur's Gate 3, why the fuck can't you do it with 10 times the budget and staff? Well, you see, our shareholders require that we, is it hard in here? I don't need to explain why Baldur's Gate 3 was so good. You already know. But I'm going to anyway, because it makes Corpos look like freaking clown shoes. So, Baldur's Gate 3, the game that made every AAA studio shit their executive pants. This game has everything. 12 character classes, 46 subclasses, 11 playable races, 23 sub-races, 174 hours of cinematics, 600 fucking spells, 8 different romance options, 11 possible background stories for your characters, thousands of different dialogue choices and actions, and both single player and multiplayer capabilities. Any number of things really that would make a AAA developer's arse just explode if it wasn't locked behind a fucking paywall. If we offered all that content at once, how would we sell you 16 different DLC packs and a season pass? They packed in so much content that half of us were paralysed by choice. And the game actually worked at launch. Do you remember what a working game at launch felt like? Because I fucking didn't. Do you understand how rare that is now? A game that works when you buy it. What year is this, 2005? Larian is only a mid-sized indie studio, and this isn't the first time they've dropped a masterpiece on us. Go and play their Divinity games. They're great. This is clearly a mission given to them from God. These legendary tier geeks basically walked into the industry, dropped their massive game on the table and told us, this is what you should be getting. You know what they didn't give us? A fucking battle pass. No battle passes, no microtransactions, no bullshit promises about future content, just a complete game. They were scared because Baldur's Gate 3 is the smoking gun that proves what we've known all along. They've been scamming us for years. What Larian did wasn't magic. They just worked their arses off and treated us like humans instead of bipedal cash machines. Meanwhile, other game developers lost their fucking minds. The corporate meltdown began. They couldn't criticise the actual game because they looked like complete dipshits if they did, so instead, they attacked the unrealistic expectations it created. As a humble multi-billion-dollar corporation, what we find this level of transparency deeply offensive to our business model. This indie dev, Xavier Nelson Jr., complained that Baldur's Gate 3 shouldn't be the new standard because the time and cost is unrealistic. Taking time makes good games. Rushing makes garbage. Who knew? He cited their long development cycle. You know, the crazy concept where you don't rush a product out the door before it's done. Fucking revolutionary. And apparently using experience from your previous games is cheating. Divinity was fucking crowdfunded and still kicked arse, and without some publisher telling them they had to add a damn battle pass. Nelson pointed to Baldur Gate 3's early access period like it was some kind of sneaky trick, while other devs were purposely smoke and mirroring their games because they didn't want us to know they were shit. My arse cheeks usually clench hard enough to crack a fucking walnut at the mere mention of pre-ordering, but this was early access, and given Larian's history, even I decided to give them that chance. Larian showed us what we were getting and used that to finance their game. They weren't trying to fuck us over. In this economy? What? Nelson, you seem like a great guy, and I get that this was coming from an indie perspective, but this isn't on the devs. It's the suits, the marketing dickheads who see games as cash cows. Nelson, buddy, you opened the door for every greedy corpo fuck to hide behind your argument. And they did. Excellent. We're gonna sack that indie dev's concerns while we continue to charge $20 for horse armor. To say this isn't a new baseline for RPGs is ridiculous. Taking time to craft quality games instead of churning out shit isn't some revolutionary concept. It's the standard we used to have before Corpo vampires sucked it dry. What we are seeing isn't innovation, it's resurrection. I get that it might set the bar a bit high for small indies, but we're talking about not putting slot machines in your $70 game. What's AAA's excuse? They have billions. We had other developers like Chris Baldur, who was part of making Blizzard's Diablo 4, chiming in. It's important to remember that not all studios operate under the same conditions. He compared Baldur's Gate 3 to Ultima 7, the favourite game of Larian's founder, saying that's a game that has 12 years of prior games feeding into it. Meanwhile, Diablo 4 has 26 years of Diablo games feeding into it. Diablo 4 now looks like World of Warcraft vomited all over it. Battle passes, cash shops, mounts, always online, level scaling, and worst of all, pay to win. Gotta love those surprise mechanics. Letting whales drop a fucking mortgage payment so that they can steamroll everyone else in PvP, because nothing says fair competition like a credit score check. Baldur's Gate 3 devs made a great game because they focused on making a great fucking game. But why waste time on quality when we can just recolor some armor in 5 minutes and sell it as a $20 skin? Gamers are losing their minds over this. Everyone is absolutely sick of getting bent over by the fucking status quo. We are done with the bullshit. If you mention pre-orders these days, most gamers recoil like they've just caught a whiff of a microwave shit. What gamers want isn't complicated. We want games that aren't held together with duct tape and broken promises. Games that don't treat our banks like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Just look at the Baldur's Gate 3 reviews. They're not just praising the game, they're trauma responses from years of being digitally abused by other studios. Finally, a complete game with no microtransactions. You'd think other developers would see this and go, hey, maybe we should just try and make good games again. Instead, these AAA assholes are still cranking out the same bullshit, measuring success not by how much fun you're having, but by how effectively they're extracting cash and psychologically manipulating engagement metrics. And now, we finally got to the Stop Killing Games movement, started by this absolute legend, Ross Scott. You know what this is? It's people fighting corporations to let them keep the games they already fucking paid for. Literally asking for the bare minimum. That's it. That's the whole movement. Can I keep the thing I bought? I'm sorry, but according to Section 47B of our Terms of Service that absolutely everybody reads, you've merely purchased a temporary license to access our content that we can revoke whenever our quarterly earnings report looks sad. And some people, pirate software, have the audacity to say this would hurt the poor indie developers. It's not fucking indies making these disposable cash grabs. It's billion-dollar corporate monsters who could make these games 1,000 times over and still have enough cash left to buy a small country. Ross Scott's gonna win this fight. It's practically a done deal. But this shouldn't end with just owning the games we paid for. If you ask me, it must go further. We need better regulations. Now, don't you think this has gone far enough now? Regulations are bad for innovation and censorship and just trust us to do the right thing. Oh, fuck off! Anti-censorship is an entirely different thing that you bastards will latch onto to preserve all the other bullshit you're guilty of. People are used to the concept of slapping an age restriction on games where you can beat hookers to death with a crowbar. Without regulations, you assholes wouldn't even tell us the odds in your gambling mechanics. You know those gacha games where you spend $500 trying to get some digital hero with big tits? They only show you the 0.1% drop rate because China legally requires them to. Otherwise, they'd happily let you blow your rent money without knowing you'd have better odds of being struck by lightning whilst getting a blowjob from Bigfoot. Look, I'm not the first person to call this shit out, but we need to keep making noise. We need to demand better. Corporate fucknuggets are telling you they're laying off developers because times are tough and costs are too high. Meanwhile, their CEOs are taking money baths telling developers, sorry, we need to cut your healthcare because market conditions. I'm sure they deeply regret having to let go of such valued team members whilst they post record fucking profits. February 2019, Activision Blizzard laid off 8% of their employees while simultaneously bragging about their $7.5 billion in revenue. These difficult decisions were necessary for our survival. Epic Games, same bullshit. 16% of employees gone, whilst Fortnite was making it rain cash. And Bungie? Sorry team, despite being backed by Sony for $3.6 billion, we just can't afford you people anymore. Security will show you out. And Microsoft? They buy Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, then immediately start firing by the thousands. Their earnings increased by tens of billions. And just to really shit on humanity, King, the creators of Candy Crush. We're replacing 200 humans from our $20 billion Candy Crush game with AI because, robots don't need healthcare or bathroom breaks. Their need to eat and pay rent is really cutting into our profit margins. Did these people need to lose their jobs? Profits aren't down, they're the highest they've ever been. I don't think they did. But don't worry, I'm sure all those CEOs feel really bad about this. Well, they're deciding which fucking island to buy next. It's just so hard making all these decisions from my spaceship. It's not the indie devs with their hand-me-down furniture and ramen noodle budgets doing this shit. It's these billion-dollar corpos. Stop giving these arseholes your money. There's still gamers bent over whilst they ram microtransactions up their arse like a money colonoscopy. When a CEO makes 1,000 times what their artists make, do you think they give a flying fuck about making a good game? But a lot of gamers are starting to wake up. These beautiful indie bastards are dominating lately, and for damn good reason. Self-funded, self-operated, with zero of the corporate bullshit. These indie games are doing to AAA what Netflix did to cable TV, what streamers did to news networks, proving you don't need $1 billion budget and soul-crushing crunch to make something people actually give a shit about. Isn't it beautiful? Look at how content creators are often presented as unprofessional by the media. Now, indie developers are getting the same treatment from AAA establishment. These unprofessional pissants are making games without our permission. The deprofessionalisation of video games was on full display at PAX East. What the actual fuck? This dude, Brian Francis, is throwing around buzzwords like deprofessionalisation as if indie devs are destroying the industry. Let me get this straight. We just survived a decade of AAA companies force-feeding us unfinished $70 turds with $200 season passes, and now they're blaming the bedroom coder who made a viral hit. These indies are so unprofessional with all their completely finished games. Indie wasn't the cause of this shit show. They are the freaking escape route. Talented developers are looking at indie success stories and thinking, maybe I don't need to sacrifice my mental health, creative vision and firstborn child to make something people actually love. That's not deprofessionalisation. That's a fucking jailbreak. It's Aris saying, I'd rather make something real than another skin-selling slot machine. That's developers finally removing the corporal boot from their throats. That's not unprofessional. That's liberation. But how will I afford my helipad tennis courts? The same companies now whining about industry changes are the same ones who turned gaming into a dumpster fire in the first place. Our top talent is leaving. How do we compete with two guys in the garage? Why are you surprised? Your company is about as nurturing to creative talent as a piranha tank is to an open wound. If these megacorps are hemorrhaging talent, maybe, just maybe, it's because they're soul-crushing hellholes where creativity goes to die. When these developers escape to form the next Larian Studios, that's not a tragedy. That's a win. That's evolution. The revolution isn't coming. Indie has already kicked down the door and it's raiding the fridge. For over a decade, these corporate arseholes have been serving us half-finished games wrapped in gambling mechanics and psychological manipulation. If indie developers hadn't stepped up, gaming as we knew it would be fucking dead. But instead, it's the corporate dickheads who are starting to sweat. I'm Ton, and I can't wait to cover gaming content for the next few years because if there is a god, I'll get to talk about how these soulless game corporations are burning in the fire of their own making. If you've made it this far, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time. We're all geeks here, so help us build and grow this community. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us about your own gaming experiences. Literally, give us ideas. It really helps. This channel is expanding, so expect a community Discord server, streaming events, and much, much more coming soon. Tone out.